Welcome, horror fam, to HHN365, Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Duff, Jess, and Jonathan. How's it going, guys?
Hey.
What's up? We're back together.
Yeah.
Again.
Here.
We're all in this together.
Oh, God. Oh.
On today's show, we will be comparing 31 versus 32 in a bracket-style showdown. But before we get to that, as always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at HHN365, and at TikTok at HHN365pod. We have an amazing Discord. The link is in the description, and we have a merch shop at HHN365.com. You can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-4134. We have some 365 news, some regular news. Let's hop into it.
Yeah, so let's start with the 365 news. Get rid of the housekeeping. So, as we're trying to do every month, have a HHN 36 Live and a live Discord event. We now have both of those scheduled. On Friday, February 23rd, we will be live at Universal on TikTok doing our 36 Live. You could watch us on TikTok. You could join us there. Come meet up with us. We have special stickers for the occasion. And then our Discord event will be live in our Discord server on Wednesday the 28th. And I think we're going to play a fun game of HHN Change My Mind. So we want you guys to come in. We're going to give, I guess you could call it a hot take about the event. And we want you to come on mic, in text, however you feel comfortable doing it, and change our mind. Yep. So please come join us for those two events. They will be a lot of fun.
All right, so are we ready to get into the news and rumors?
I guess there's nothing really big to talk about.
But we do have a segment. Actually, we didn't have it for like 2 weeks now. If you wanna introduce it, Jess.
Was there nothing last week when I wasn't here?
Nope,
not nothing regarding Mr. Murdy.
He took time off because he knew I was sick. Murdy tweets.
Yes, Murdy tweets are back in the segment where we talk about John Murdy, the creative director of Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood, gives out some information. And this tweet isn't like anything too big, but it sort of ties to something we've talked about, potentially previously. And basically, he responded to the question where someone asked, hey, are there any gore-filled houses this year? And he responded with, yes, worse than you can imagine. I almost puked when I wrote it. And a lot of people are speculating that this is related to the house that he talked about a while ago that might be like the most dark and disturbing house he ever wrote for Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood. So yeah, that is the Murdy tweet of today.
And he said that was an IP, right?
He said that one was an IP. We don't know for sure if this is related, but he did say that was an IP.
I'm going to be honest, the way he worded it, it sounds like he was being very sarcastic and he's just joking.
It's possible too.
It does not sound like he's actually following anything up. The way he said, I almost puked when I wrote it. I don't know. It just doesn't come off as a genuine tweet, in my opinion.
That's Murdy, though. I think kind of is that person.
It's just Murdy joking around a little bit. And also, in context of when he did this, he was sarcastically responding to a bunch of other people about different things.
I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I think this was a different day than the one where
it was like, wasn't it just like a couple days in a row?
Kind of, yeah. So it could be related to that. It could not. It's kind of up in the air because he did do like genuine like answers too, like during that time. So you're right, because there is a likelihood that this could just be one of the joke ones that he did.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about our side in Universal Studios Florida a bit more, and that's everyone's favorite seasonal offering. The All Hallows Eve Bayou Boutique is now open at Islands of Adventure.
Yes. Everyone's favorite.
That store that always looks similar now kind of is Mardi Gras. Ooh.
It's set dressed slightly different. No, wait. I really like the I haven't seen it in person, but the stained glass panels that Skipper Haas designed, those are pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
those are nice.
It just has very cool elements to it.
Yes, it's still, the vibe is the same. It's two circular rooms with a checkout counter. What do you want?
I do appreciate that they keep doing it, though, and it seems like people kind of stopped caring that they do it, but they're like, yeah, it's fun. Who cares?
Yeah, they even have like some projection work in here that I think works. Yeah, works really nicely. I wouldn't say it's the version of this that has like the most like sets and stuff, but I think the projection work is really what makes this one shine, because there's some sections where it's like, oh, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
The next piece of news is something that we recently found out just like a couple days ago when we were hanging out in the Cursed Coconut Club, where on the top level of the Cursed Coconut Club, where there's a bar, a guitar hanging above it now has the name Pine Straw Spruce written on it. So we got a little HHN Easter egg in there, or none of us noticed it before, and we just caught it. I have no idea.
Very possible.
That's a fun little Easter egg. I like that.
Yeah, it was very cute. Good little Easter egg.
Adorable.
We'll have to check it out maybe soon.
Jess, did you see the news about your new favorite thing at Universal?
Oh, the thing I didn't get to comment on last week?
Yeah, that thing.
Oh, no, I didn't actually. Should I have read the outline before we started? Wow, I got exposed right there. Nope. Where is it?
Oh, well.
I can't find it on the outline.
Universal's Monster Makeover is a limited time experience lasting until April 7th only.
This is my live reaction. What? Why? I mean, I can assume why. I figured it was never permanent to begin with, but wow.
I mean,
what is that? 3 months? Not even?
I get the sense it's probably like a let's see how it does period. And if it makes a killing, it's not going anywhere.
I could see them putting this somewhere on City Walk and giving it like a dedicated space.
Is it making a killing?
I don't know. When I went, they were booked. I was the first day of Mardi Gras, so like a week and a half ago at this point. They were fully booked and they were only taking like advanced reservations. I didn't ask how far out the reservations were, but they were booked for that day and there were 3 people in there.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Has
and
that
my opinion on it.
Who knows? Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
I think that for the price, what you're getting is actually really worth it because it's a full airbrush look with high quality, like this is professional. You are getting what scare actors get. You're getting that treatment. I think $125 for a full face from a licensed cosmetologist in the state of Florida, because they have to be, is a steal. Because if you were to rent out a private makeup artist for a full face that you get to pick a design from something predetermined that they already do, you're going to spend at least $250. So you're getting that for half the price in a theme park. And it's stunning. The Pew 2 video, she looked so fucking good. That Bride of Frankenstein makeup is amazing. So it's not for everybody. I know it's not going to last forever. I don't think I would do it unless somebody paid for me to do it, because I ain't got that money. But it's a fun little treat if you like want something to plush your day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm a makeup person, so I'm gonna find it a little bit cooler. But I don't need.
I respect that it's available of that quality. Mainly, very very impressive that they're actually making that an option.
Good job,
Universal. I would worry that it would melt off my face in like 10 minutes in the hot Florida sun. So I'm glad it's only going to April 7th. Because if it gets any hotter, it's probably not going to last in my face.
I wonder, because if it's airbrush, they have the option. I'm going to go too deep into this, but they have the option to do alcohol-based paint instead, and that is waterproof. So I'm curious. Or they could put a sealant on it. Ben Nye creates, it's what the princesses use. Ben Nye makes a fantastic thing that you can just spray on the face. So I'm curious if they do make it kind of like sweat proof for Florida. If anybody's done it, let me know. You can reach out to me. If anybody wants to pay for me to do it, I'll do it on live. I'm not above that.
Shoot your shot, Jess.
Hey, I want to do the experience. I'm sorry. I'm a little hoe for a makeup experience.
All right, moving on. We have a pretty big rumor that's kind of a slew of rumors all in one that's coming from Park Stop, Alicia Stella, and it's a bunch of Ghostbusters to Universal related items. We talked about this recently with the Ecto one coming to the park and what that could mean. There's any guess would have worked, because it sounds like it's coming in every single capacity it probably can to the event, according to these rumors. First one, it is rumored to be a part of the new parade at Universal Studios Florida. That's kind of the one we were leaning towards. Like, that's probably what Ecto-1 means, right? And I still wouldn't be surprised if that is the case, and that's exactly what Ecto-1 itself meant. But also the new Lagoon show, it's rumored to include Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters could also be this year's, or at least part of this year's, summer tribute store. And also, a big one, an attraction brought to Universal Studios Florida.
Yeah, I mean, that is the huge one, right?
Well, not for our podcast, but yeah. There's still one more.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, going a little deeper into this, one of the interesting things that the article said is that one of the rumored concepts is could be a special effects show. It doesn't have to be similar to the one that was there at the parks originally. But it's kind of cool that it is like something possibly floating in the concept room of like, hey, we could do it again, just with new technology and stuff.
They could make that pretty badass today.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Anyways, the big one, of course, on our HHN podcast will be potentially a house based on Ghostbusters, potentially leaning towards the newer film series coming this year. Again, possibly. What would we think about Ghostbusters? Forget which property of Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters as a franchise coming back to HHN. Sums up my thoughts.
Yeah, like I gotta be honest. I like Ghostbusters as a property. I think Ghostbusters is a great property. I love a lot of the films and in the franchise itself. But seeing how it was implemented in HHN29, where scares weren't really the priority, I'm afraid if they do Ghostbusters again, their scares are just not going to be the priority again, and it's just going to fall flat for me like the one in HHN29 did.
Mm-hmm. And then, Mike, I know you had a slightly higher opinion about the house in 29 than either of us did. How would you feel?
I'd like to see the new movie. I think if that movie is a hit and has a lot of fun, exciting locations and some cool special effects and a good story, I think it could work, especially if they lean heavily into that one. I think the timing is off quite a bit, whereas the movie comes out in March and the house wouldn't come until September. But it's still possible. I would have to see the movie to have any strong opinions, but I think there's worse properties for sure. I don't think it would be too bad.
Fair. Jess, not letting you get out of this one.
Oh my god. I mean, everybody already knows how I feel about Ghostbusters, but I did not think it hit in 29. I know it hit for some people, but the overall consensus is that it wasn't the best IP house. I don't need to see it again. I don't want to see it again. Can we please do something else?
Yeah, the new
That's
series. Yeah.
No. No, because then here's my thing. Was the Ghostbusters house better than the Beetlejuice house? Yes. But if we're going to keep giving IPs a shot that didn't do well, I don't want to hear it when the Beetlejuice conversation comes up again, because we're going to keep shooting ourselves in the foot. Do something new and exciting. Do something else. Stop doing these things to hold on to nostalgia. Sometimes you have to do it, but if it's a whole new property with an old IP, you know what I mean?
I get it. But of course, nostalgia sells. You slap the Ghostbusters logo on that HHN poster, and that's bringing people in by itself.
I know. If you have Five Nights at Freddy's too, it's like, just watch the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be a very big 1-2 punch.
Yeah. No, well, hey, I know I will be only going to the originals that year. No, I like when we have IPs for everybody. That's not what I'm not saying we shouldn't have it. I just think that 29 proved that maybe your nostalgic favorite doesn't always have to have a house.
Yeah, you've learned that the hard way.
I have. And I've been the most honest about it. And I hate when people use Ghostbusters as an argument against me, because I didn't like that house either.
Yeah. I didn't like either, so also wouldn't
Yeah.
work against me. Anyways, we do have one more bit of an HHN speculation rumor season kicking off here. And Jonathan, it's coming from everyone's favorite insider.
Yes, it is. It's coming from a Legacy on Blue Sky on that platform, and basically he just sent out a post. Yeah, they're called posts on Blue Sky, I think. And basically said, in regards to clues, because Legacy's been sort of hinting, and we've talked about it previously on the podcast, that clues are going to be coming eventually, soon, however, whatever that exactly means. But he said, I can give you a hint. The first HHN clue I do this year will not be Five Nights at Freddy's. There's no sense in starting with the house everyone expects. In fact, I may save that one for the bitter end with like a devil emoji that's smiling.
How
And
does that read to
a
you,
lot of
Jonathan?
people a lot of people have been talking about on our Discord, on multiple Discords in the forums, that the bitter end is such an interesting choice of words. Um, a very interesting choice of words, actually, because there is, I'm not going to call it like a rumor because it's not, it's just a theory, I guess, among people, is the best way to describe it, that Five Nights at Freddy's may not be coming to the event. Like, just I don't know how like the consensus of like Discord and whatever came to it, but it happened. Um, and everyone's like, is he saying the bitter end because it might not actually be coming? And something sort of related to this as well, as someone on a Discord server basically went like, hey, what's a reason that might not come? Maybe the creator, Scott, whatever their name is, says like maybe no, could that be possible? And Legacy's like, yeah, I mean, if someone, I think he's like a producer, or he's somewhere important in the films, like if he says no, that could possibly relate to it not coming. Like that's a possibility. It's not something like outlandish or whatever. I'm not saying the exact words. I'm very much summarizing because I don't have it in front of me, but that's sort of what it is. So I don't know. This is an interesting, very interesting piece of information here that you can sort of take in a lot of ways because Legacy is good like that.
Also, if we're sticking to the is it not coming thing, is there a possibility that the A&D team looked at this property and said, listen, we aren't going to be able to pull this off the way you want us to, so it'd probably be better if we stay away.
I think there's a good chance. I mean, just from like personal watching the film and going like on my own, going, I don't know how this can work, just based on the costumes and the fact that the film strives away from horror like as much as it can and showing anything. It feels like the film doesn't really want to full on be a horror movie at all. And just watching it, I was like, I don't know how this can work. And there is a world where A&D said the same thing.
As much as I would kind of not want to see it, because I wouldn't have too much hope for it, again, just from what I saw from the film, man, there'd be a lot of devastated Five Nights fans, because people have been talking like it's a done deal for a long time. So they've been talking like they're definitely getting the house that they want to see more than anything. And this will absolutely shatter their hearts if it does not end up coming to the event.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'd feel a little bad. But personally, I hope he's meaning it's not coming.
I'm going to agree, selfishly. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I hope that's what it means. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually.
Mike,
We'll see.
Mike, you need to say you want to see it or we're going to get canceled, okay?
I kind of want to see it.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Michael Savos.
I want to see how they do it. I really want to see. I'm not necessarily going to say that I'm super excited for Five Nights at Freddy's house, but I am excited to see how they pull off a Five Nights at Freddy's house. So I think it would be fun to see just how they do it. Now, obviously, we could have a Chucky, but I think it's fun to to not be able to conceptualize something and be like, how are they going to do this? I'm excited for it if it comes for that reason.
All right, we're not going to get
We
canceled.
met our quota.
I like that take though, Mike. I like the
Yeah.
optimism.
The intrigue in it too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely
I-
intrigued.
I would be
I wanna see
curious on how they would do it. I just
I
don't
need
know
to
if
see the
I'd want to
costumes.
potentially waste a house on it.
That I don't want another Chucky. I feel like I have trauma from last year, and I'm worried that like we're just gonna throw money at a big IP that needs like big suits or animatronics or da-da-da-da, and we don't get it
Yeah.
because Chucky.
It's very possible.
Like really expensive arcade cabinets that like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we'll see how this rumor evolves, but it is interesting that we have so quickly gone from everyone expects this to be a thing to suddenly, from one very, very, very vague comment, oh, it's not coming.
Yeah.
This is definitely not a done deal in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And this rumor will continue to go both ways, I'm sure. So we'll be talking about it for a while. All right, what do we say we get into our main segment, where we are going to basically take HHN31 and HHN32 in the way that makes the least sense possible, choose which one was better. How do we do that? We take all 10 houses from both events, put them against another house, bracket style, until we find a champion.
Are we doing majority rules? Like we all have to.
Yes, we
all
have
vote
to
together?
agree.
Oh,
We have
Jesus
to agree.
fucking
So we will
Christ.
have to concede at points.
So if there's a 2-2 tie, someone
Has to concede. Yes,
Oh,
to make
I
it
can
move.
promise you, it ain't gonna be this bitch.
Some of them, the thing is, you'll
Okay,
care
we'll
less.
see.
You know what I mean?
Okay, we'll see.
Quickly, just to go over how we laid out this bracket, we tried to split it up. So for the most part, it's going to be 31 versus 32. However, in this bracket, we basically had to make like almost like a wild card round, if you will. And in that scenario, it's the 9 versus 10 house of, let's say, this year. So we're going to start off with Chucky versus Stranger Things. With kind of it was our averaged out rankings is how we got these seedings, by the way. And that will move on to face the number 1 seed from HHN 31.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah. So basically, we're going to start with these wild card rounds, and then we're going to move into 31 versus 32.
Hell yeah.
Which will be interesting because, again, these are our rankings, the way they're seeded. So are we going to start going against our rankings when we look at it and break it down more? I think there's a couple where we could. I definitely think it could happen.
I can't get over the fact that you spelled it Yeti CC instead of CK.
Oh, that's weird. Oops.
I have been staring at that for the past 2 minutes. I'm so sorry.
Yuck. Like cuck? Yuck.
I see.
Remember how it took me until the last weekend to realize why I was cock?
All right, so let's start out right where I said we would. We're going to do HHN32's first wild card round, which is the 9th seeded Stranger Things versus the 10th seeded Chucky. I don't. Are we gonna have to talk about this one too much? I don't think we. I'll just say I vote for Stranger Things. I don't.
I don't want to vote for either of these.
You have to. I'm sorry.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Absolutely.
All right.
I
I'll
don't
never
think it's
vote for
close.
Cook.
So Stranger Things will move on to face Legends Collide in the next round. Our next wild card matchup, we're going to go to HHN 31, where we have the Horrors of Blumhouse as our 7th seed versus Halloween, our 8th seed. This feels like one that could potentially flip. I don't know.
Yeah,
This
I
one
think
hurts
they're closer than the other one for sure.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Chucky was a clear stinker of that. I think Blumhouse and Halloween, I think they were closer to quality for sure.
Oh, it's tough.
This one hurts my brain.
I think with the extra year, Halloween is a lot closer to Blumhouse than it was after 31 ended. I think there are some bigger scale sets, some more well-designed scares. whereas Blumhouse was just kind of reliant on a lot of the grabber being scary in the dark.
Yeah. I think the thing that hurts Blumhouse is that it's half a really good house. And the other half was not so great.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween was a solid house throughout.
Yeah.
I think I might do
I'm
it.
gonna have to vote. I'm gonna have to vote for Halloween.
I think I'm with
Yeah.
you, Mike. I'm going to go Halloween.
I'm kind of, I don't know, on the opposite, because I looking back, I think I do like Halloween more than I did during the year. But I'm just remembering like all of the funny memories I had in Blumhouse, because Blumhouse did have like a lot of moments that I just had fun in, with like certain lines and scenes and characters and whatnot. And I remember most of the time going through Halloween, just due to my like relationship with the character, like how I feel about the character, was kind of just bored. Then the sets are very nice, and and there's so cool scares, but I never felt like super interested in it walking through. While Blumhouse, I know there were like a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun in here, so I'm gonna have to go Blumhouse.
Okay. All right, Jess, it's on you.
See, I didn't really love either of these too much. Like, I had fun in both of them, but the thing that makes me want to pick one over the other is scenic, like solely because I feel like they were pretty much neck and neck for me throughout the season, just kind of on scares and experience. But Halloween had the whole ass house. I know I talk shit about it not having it as the facade, but it did have a whole ass house in there.
It did.
And that reveal was pretty amazing. I think, Jonathan, do you have any argument to swing to Blumhouse? Anything?
Do you care enough?
Honestly,
No, okay.
I have an argument to sway you. I have an argument to sway you to keep you to Halloween. That you keep talking about how that was like that terrified you, like how that.
Anything with mirrors too, like any room like that alone, like not mirrors, but the room with all the Michaels, like anything like that, I'm always gonna get wrecked. And yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess Halloween. Blumhouse never really got me like that.
Well,
there we go.
The wild card round paid off. Who would have thought? So number 8, Halloween, goes to face the 4 seed Oddfellow in the next round. That should be fun. And our next wild card round, people are going to think we're crazy that our average rating brought this house this low potentially, but we have the number 7 seed, The Last of Us, versus the number 8 seed, The Exorcist Believer, both from HHN32. I hate that I don't do more with The Exorcist Believer, because I thought it was a really well done house, but I think The Last of Us was quite a bit better overall. So The Last of Us will be my vote. It wins on basically everything but scares for me.
I think I'm gonna have to go opposite. I think the Exorcist had scares. I think it was a bit more of an iconic house for me.
All right.
I'm gonna have to go Exorcist.
I don't want to go last this time. Don't make me do it again.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Sorry, I had to. I love both of these, but we've talked about. I have a personal reason to pick Last of Us. My run through theirs were special, so I gotta pick it.
And I don't think it's any surprise for me, considering Last of Us was like, I think number 2 on my or number 3 on my rankings. That I pick The Last of Us 2. I love this house. Exorcist was good too. I thought that was a really good house, but in my mind, these two are not even on the same playing field. They're both different way different in rankings.
All right, The Last of Us will move on, and it has the pleasure of facing the 2 seed Dead Man's Pier in the next round.
Well, great.
In our final wildcard round, back to HHN31, we have the 9th seeded Spirits of the Coven versus the 10 seed Hellblock Horror.
I think we just gotta do Hellblock. I think
for financial reasons, I say Hellblock Horror.
Well, we don't even sell that shirt anymore.
Well, it already made us the money. It's okay.
Yeah.
It made us money is a stretch. But...
Well, to not be not a feminist. I'm picking spirits because I'm a woman and I will
No.
stick with my lady.
My actual vote is going to Spirits of the Coven anyways.
Oh,
so
good.
yeah, I'm not actually voting for Hellblock
Yeah,
Horror.
I think
No.
Spirits
I
too.
think either is the wrong
No,
choice.
no.
Let's be clear.
I do think they are both not great houses, but Hellblock was a different level of not great.
Yeah.
And you guys are not misogynists if you don't pick spirits. I hate that fucking joke. I hate it so much.
Thank God.
I wanted to like Spirits. I had it my
I know.
number one.
Mike, you and I were spirit fans going into HHN31.
And I remember when I went through, I was like, oh, I'm going to give it a couple of chances, you know?
You were?
Yeah.
You were its fan. You really tried. You were campaigning for it for a while.
I was like, was it that bad though? Yeah.
I'm just standing there going, yes, Mike. I think it was that bad.
Yeah.
Damn.
And yeah, like you guys said, I'm gonna also go with spirits. Even though Hellblock had more of a excuse for why it was the way that it was, spirits, in my opinion, was just a better house. But that was gonna happen regardless, given the circumstances.
And that will send to its doom to face the number 1 seed Darkest Deal. All right.
Bye-bye, spirits.
Let's go back to the top of the bracket and get this one over with. We have Legends Collide versus Stranger Things. Legends Collide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to discuss?
I even agree with that.
Not even Eddie Munson himself could carry Stranger Things into a battle against Legends.
All right. Unsurprisingly, Legends Collide will advance to the next round. Let's see who it's going to face as we go to the 5th-seeded Descendants of Destruction versus the 4th-seeded Universal Monsters Unmasked.
Ooh.
Did you do this one to like actually attack me personally?
Oh, this one's a fun
These were our
matchup
averaged
here.
rankings. I don't know what to tell you.
I think this one
seeded
was
them
like,
the way
let's
it's
fuck
done.
Jess up.
I don't know what to tell you.
But like my heart lies between these two houses somewhere.
Oh.
This is actually a very hard one for me.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, I have a definitive answer, but it's close.
Please go ahead, because I do not have one yet.
Unmasked for
right.
me.
All right.
I
I think for me, Unmasked, the scale is what really keeps it going. So I enjoyed the story and the scares and just the flow and feel of Descendants a lot more. But there were a lot of wow moments in Unmasked where Descendants did have at least one big one.
Yeah, it did.
So it makes it tighter than it should be. But I think I am going to go Descendants of Destruction.
Oh, yeah.
So I agree with you, Duff, because I feel like Descendants had like 2 or 3 moments for me that were like, holy shit, in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it did it in a tent and it didn't need like a soundstage parade building space to do that. And I also feel like recency bias is making me want to pick Unmasked. So I know Descendants was high up in my final ranking. I think I'm going to go with Descendants.
Welcome aboard.
Wow. But like post-apocalyptic, who's surprised?
Fair. All right, Jonathan.
You guys know my answer. The Descendants of Destruction was, I think, my number 2 ranking on in HHN31. I love this house. It resonated with me a ton. I thought the sets and effects, just the mirror effects were just phenomenal. I love the story, the characters, the scares. Unmasked was a very good house, but I feel like it left me wanting more. Where Descendants, it had a lot of the stuff that it had was like, all right, this is perfect for this type of environment. So I'm going to go Descendants.
And that's going to be our first upset in a 31 versus 32 matchup. And Descendants of Destruction takes Unmasked down and moves on to face Legends Collide in the next round.
I'm glad, because I did not need to go over Unmasked versus Legends.
Yeah, no.
God, that would have been hard.
Well,
we already did that, actually.
Me, but...
Yeah.
Go back a couple episodes if you want to hear that discussion, because technically we've already done it.
All right, moving on to the next one. We have the 3rd-seeded Weekend versus the 6th-seed Yeti Campground Kills.
Oh.
I mean, for me, the Weekend is far and above the better house here. So, yeah.
Yeah. The Weekend was the it was kind of a miss for me, but I don't think I liked Yeti necessarily. Like, I don't have strong opinions enough to like. Yeah, I still think the Weeknd wins here for me.
2 for Weekend.
Yeah,
Well, we know how this ends then.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just go because as I said before, Weekend is my favorite Horror Nights house of all time as of now. So yeah, it beats Yeti.
I think the further away we get from the Weeknd, the more I don't hold the house as high. And I won't lie, it has an even worse shot now that he has the song again at WrestleMania for the 5th year in a row, which I know sounds so petty, but like, y'all, if you watch wrestling as much as my husband and I watch wrestling, I have to hear the song 3 times a week for up to 3 hours. Like, they play it all the time. So it's so hard for me. My vote doesn't matter anymore, but like, I will at least try to justify it a little bit. I am just so sick of being forced to hear the same little clips of songs since HHN and now. And it's just like, so the recency bias, like, take that away. The recency bias of Yeti would also make me pick that, but it doesn't matter anyways.
Well,
Just trying to justify at least a little bit of why.
while the Weeknd advances, I potentially have good news for you, Jess. It will play the winner of the second-seeded Oddfellow
Good.
and the 8th-seeded Halloween, which is where we're at right now. Oddfellow.
fella. I don't think there's much to say.
We'll talk more about it when it actually has competition.
Yeah. Oddfellow moves forward, obviously.
All right, moving down, we have the second-seeded Dead Man's Pier versus the 7th seed, The Last of Us.
That's cute. Dead Man's Pier.
Dead Man's Pier.
Yeah.
Cute.
Jonathan.
I dare you.
He's going to say
my vote doesn't matter. I'd say The Last of Us.
You're fucking crazy. The Last of Us couldn't hold a fucking candle in an actual match.
I feel like as much as I love Dead Man's Pier, because I do, I think the sets and the atmosphere were, I mean, chef's kiss. They were fantastic. There were a lot of times during the season where I had runs where I just got just a little, I'm not going to say like bored as in like Halloween bored, but like disinterested a little bit. Because we all had the problem that there wasn't a lot of scares in Dead Man's Pier. Where The Last of Us, I sometimes got those types of runs, but I feel like the majority of the time I got runs that just really hit for me. I got runs that had a lot of energy and just like got me a lot of the time. In addition to me already loving the sets and the story and atmosphere and everything about The Last of Us. So I think primarily on runs is going to be why I put The Last of Us above Dead Man's Pier, even if it doesn't matter. But yeah.
Well, you are correct. It does not matter. Dead Man's Pier will advance. And it will face the winner of the 6th-seeded Bugs, Eaten Alive, and the 3rd-seeded Blood Moon, Dark Offerings.
Damn.
I'm worried about my baby. I don't know how far it's going to make it, but
Camp versus Gore.
It's Blood Moon for me. I think Bugs is a good house, but it's kind of at 6 for a reason. There's a lot it didn't execute on, and I thought Blood Moon, I mean, I know it's not everyone's favorite house here, but it was a much more well-executed house, and a much more beautiful house at that.
I agree with everything you said, Duff. It's Blood Moon for me. It's not necessarily close.
I think, I don't know if I'm gonna have them. I don't know what the result's gonna be, but I probably would say Bugs. I think looking back on it, even though Bugs ended up being a little bit lower than I wanted it to, especially compared to the first weekend, I did have a lot of fun of it. There was a lot of like really cool, jokes and I love the atmosphere and the characters that still like, I don't know. I look back on Bugs and I'm like, they seem, I don't know, like iconic in a way, like some of the characters in that. Where Blood Moon, a lot of the times, because I just never got scared in it, and I didn't love the fact that all the characters were the same, even though that was the point. That was the story of the house. It made sense they were. But because I didn't love those aspects, it kind of fell off for me a little bit. So, yeah, I would say Bugs.
I think Bugs was very inconsistent compared to Blood Moon. Since we keep bringing that up, I feel like that's something that we are taking into consideration.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like the runs I had in Bugs, as much fun as I had, as much as I love camp, I look back and I'm like, I remember so many holes and so many just like issues throughout, different costumes and different characters and whatnot, and how many times Jumbo Grub wasn't in the house in the middle of the run. And like, it's really hard for me not to like focus on that. Where in Blood Moon, I think that it benefited from the characters being just cloaked figures, because you didn't notice really if you had a hole here or there. It was just kind of like he didn't hit the other trigger, or the squirrel girl wasn't there. That would be like the one you wouldn't miss.
Yes.
And also Blood Moon's so pretty. It's also just my vibe. Like I love camp, but Blood Moon will always be, I think it finished like second or third for me for a reason.
Yeah, it was second for me. So it was obviously going to win this one. And probably,
well, there we
if
go.
it's up to me, it would go further, but I don't think it will. But anyways, it does advance past Bugs. So let's move to our next matchup. And this one, we have the 4th seeded Fiesta de Chupacabras versus the 5th seed Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate.
This is hard for you guys?
This is hard.
No, it's not hard for me at all.
Oh, I'm like, I can go right now.
Okay, go ahead, because I'm not done.
Okay. Dueling Dragons, because I never had a good run through Chupi, and I've been saying that for years now. Never. I had a great run through Dragons with Fear and Beer, and that's the way it should be. And I was going to have a good run with anybody, it was going to be them. And I will hold that to my heart. Chupi, I never had even a good one. And I wanted to love it so bad. Well, I know Mike's about to say the exact opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I had good runs. I had good runs in Dragons. Just Chupacabra was my best of the year.
Yeah.
And I adore that house. I love the storytelling. I just love everything about what they were able to do in that house.
Jonathan, go ahead. I'm still thinking.
Okay. I feel like every time I'm asked this question, because we were talking about the brackets like for a while before, because we had this concept sort of like in our brain for a bit, and we always came across this one and we're like, I don't know what wins, and I always have like a different answer, because it depends on the day, because to me they're so close. Dueling Dragons has some amazing like giant sets and atmosphere and some really cool things that make it unique, like the split path, but it also has a lot of misses, like the dragons themselves. I think are big misses, and something that can't be overlooked when the house is called Dueling Dragons. Where Chupacabra, I feel like it excelled in small sets, though it did have some bigger ones, but it excelled in the sets that were small and had tons and tons and tons of detail like thrown all around them. It made the world feel lived in. You felt like this was a real place and it wasn't just a haunted house. But that also had a fault where I didn't love the Chupacabras, the design, but they did have them. They did have quite a bit more than the dragons did. But right now, thinking back, I just think based on, I don't know, how much fun I had, and I think I'm gonna go Chupacabra. But this question can change. Like, this answer can change probably any day. But today it's Chupacabra.
All right. So Chupacabra for me, I think nails the vibe. The vibe was amazing. The facade was great. The sound design was impressive. I love the characters, the mask designs throughout the house. It just had a lot going for it. I don't think it fully hit the mark. I think there's some misses for sure, but it created a very solid house. Dueling Dragons, I think, missed plenty of marks. However, the special effects that were used throughout the house, the characters, the story, the interactivity, it kind of upped it just a bit. And most importantly for me, it's special in my heart. However, because of that, and I think I would vote for Dueling Dragons just because it's special to me, I think this will be the first example where I will cede my vote so we can have a winner. So I will go with Chupacabra.
That's fair. I wish I had a good run. I wanted to love this house. I've talked about it enough. I just can't.
Yeah, it happens. But with that, Chupacabra will move on, and we're going to go to our matchup of the night in the 9th seeded Spirits of the Coven versus the 1st seed, Darkest Steel.
Wow, I wonder who's gonna win this.
Remember when I was worried that Darkest Steel was going to be Spirits of the Coven? This is
Yeah,
what I was just leading up to, apparently.
This bracket right here.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be the opposite, and Spirits is about to get Darkest Steel.
Pine straw.
Do we have? We could just move on, right?
Straw.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Darkest Steel. Cool. Going back to the top of the bracket, we now have the 1st seeded Legends Collide going against the 5th seeded Descendants of Destruction. And I would love to see Descendants have a nice long run, but it's not standing up to Legends Collide for me. Not even close. So that's my vote, is Legends Collide.
I mean, I'll go. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't want to say the exact same thing, but as much as I love Descendants, Legends is that bitch and will be that bitch. So I'm picking Legends.
I don't know. For me, I had some of like my best runs of the year ever in Legends. Like there were some nights where I could not stop screaming in that house that were just absolutely perfect. But I feel like on a consistency level, while like Legends had high highs, it also had like low lows for me. Where Descendants, it was always pretty stable on how I felt about it. It never had those highs that Legends did, but it never went to the point where I'm like, walking through it. That I did sometimes in Legends, not all the time, but it happens sometimes. And I think overall, I'm learning about myself that I really love the aesthetic of the like apocalyptic type settings. Like I like The Last of Us, and I think that is gonna push Descendants of Destruction to win this for me.
Ooh. Well, that means Mike could make things very interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't think he will, but he could.
I don't think I care enough about Descendants to like challenge it enough to take it over Legends. But I will say that looking back, I have a feel. I think they were very close in my rankings. I think I had like Legends at 4 and Descendants at like 5. So I think in my head looking back, these were pretty close. But I think I'm just gonna so we don't have to have like a face off or whatever, because I don't think we've thought like of what we are going to do in this scenario. That I'm gonna go with Legends.
All right, well, that sees Legends Collide as our first semifinalist. Let's see who will join them when we have the 3rd seeded Weekend versus the 2nd seeded Oddfellow.
Oh, I know it's not making it farther. Fuck.
Let's go, Oddfellow.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Come on,
I think its time is up, Jonathan. It's Oddfellow.
I know it's moving forward, but I'm gonna still say Weekend. I love it so much. Can't stop thinking about it. I miss you, Weekend.
Entire WWE fucking team.
All right, Mike, if you'd like to make it official.
Sorry, Jonathan.
Yes.
Jonathan, it was my favorite of that year.
Bye, Abel. Get out.
So they both were very, very good houses. Oddfellow, was my favorite.
Don't
too,
let the door hit you on the way out, Abel. Bye.
Damn.
I'm sorry. Just like, can they please pick somebody else?
You can play Gasoline on the way out.
At least I'm not going this year because I think I might actually end it all if I was there.
All right, so that has our first semifinal match as a 1 versus 2 seed. Shocker. Who would have thought we'd get there? Let's see if that happens on the other side of the bracket as we have the 2nd seeded Dead Man's Pier versus the 3rd seeded Blood Moon.
Ooh.
You know what's interesting about these? They were designed by the same person.
You know what's interesting about these? Everyone just said Blood Moon was Dead Man's Pier without water.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I preferred that. My vote goes to Blood Moon.
I gotta go Dead Man's Pier here. I think while Blood Moon sets were really impressive, I think Dead Man's Pier sets were more so. They had more wow moments for me. And I think I like the atmosphere a lot more in Dead Man's Pier than I did Blood Moon. So I'm going to go Pier.
Yeah, Dead Man's Pier was my second, and it was almost my first. Chupacabra just beat it out on my last run of the last day. It's Dead Man's Pier for me.
God damn it.
You got to talk quicker. Don't be the last one.
No, it's not. I knew I was going to be the last one because I don't know my answer yet.
Uh-oh.
Because I love both of these so much. And the thing is, like, it should be easy. I should say Dead Man's Pier because I love everything like aquatic and stuff like that. But Blood Moon was so good. Oh my, and I love like culty. I feel like, I don't know if it's recency bias, but I feel like Blood Moon took the formula from Dead Man and perfected it in terms of like sets and being able to see from other rooms and like really living in the space. So I want to pick Blood Moon, but then we're at a tie.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't want to pick Dead Man because I really think Blood Moon is better at the... Where did Dead Man's end up on my final list for 31? I don't think it was first or second. I think it fell.
It was third for me at the end of the run. I remember that.
I think it had to be 3 or 4 for me because I don't think it was 1 or 2. And Blood Moon, I think for sure was my number 2 for this past year. I have to pick Blood Moon, and I will not concede.
Well, there it is, friends. We have a tie. So the question is, does anyone feel like they could concede no matter like anything that comes? Because there's an alternative. Let me know if you feel like you could. Or if you feel set in your ways.
I mean, Jonathan, I think, had Blood Moon as like 9.
Yeah,
for
he
him.
has no shot.
Yeah, I'm pretty set with Dead Man's Pier.
Mike, do you feel like you could flip at all? Because if you don't, I have another way to flip.
Blood Moon was like, it was a solid house for me. I think it was like 4. Yeah, it was 4. It was 4 behind Unmasked because my rankings were Oddfellow, Darkest Deal, Unmasked, Blood Moon. And Dead Man's, I feel strongly that Dead Man's Pier was a better house than Blood Moon. I have
all
to
right.
say.
We're going to have to go into the super scientific way of finding out the winner by flipping a virtual coin on Google.
Do we all understand the rules before we do this? Do we know the overtime rules, guys?
Yeah, the time runs out at the end of the quarter, right?
And then the game ends. If we have possession of the ball.
All right. So I say the higher seed probably heads, lower seed tails. Does that make that fair?
That works.
I guess.
All right. So Dead Man's heads, Blood Moon tails. It's spinning.
Dead Man heads would have been an easier way to figure it out.
It is tails. It says tails. It's like a goblet with fire coming out of it, but it's tails.
Oh.
Is that Blood Moon?
That's Blood Moon.
Woo!
I promise I didn't rig it. I do not care enough about this.
I was like, it's the fact that none of us can see Duff.
It is not that important.
This is the honor system.
All right, so Blood Moon will move on to the semifinals off a kind of weird win, but whatever.
I mean, a shaky win. A shaky win is still. Do you consider like a tie where like the clock just runs out? I don't know. Like, is that a win? You still get points.
Yeah, fair. All right. Anyways, let's see who they're going to face. As we have the 4th seeded Fiesta de Chupacabras versus the 1st seeded Darkest Deal. Hi, Darkest Deal. You're my winner.
Yeah, I can't even. I'm sorry, y'all. Darkest Deal is like one of my favorite houses of all time.
I mean, my vote is Chupacabra, but I don't think it's going to matter.
It's not, unfortunately, because I gotta go with Darkest Deal. As much as I just fought for Chupacabra like before, Darkest Deal beats it for me.
Yeah, I feel about Darkest Deal like how Jonathan feels about The Weeknd. Like that and Graveyard Games are my tippity top.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, our semifinals are now set. As in the second matchup, the 1st seeded Darkest Deal will take on the 3rd seeded Blood Moon, and in our first semifinal matchup, we have the 1st seeded Legends Collide versus the 2nd seeded Oddfellow Twisted Origins.
I think one of those sections are easier than the other.
I mean, yeah, that's how things work in brackets typically.
Yeah.
What was it again? I'm sorry. I don't have an updated one in front of me. I'm just going off vibes.
Legends Collide and Oddfellow.
Thank you.
I mean, it's
We might
close.
be going down to a coin flip again.
It's close.
I don't know.
But I'm going Legends Collide. Perfect house. Not perfect house. Perfect vibe for me. It's everything I could have wanted in the mummy-esque house. The sets, the scares were phenomenal. Like, best scare design I've seen in a long time. It wins.
We might have a tie here, actually. I'm gonna go Oddfellow. I love that house so much. The vibes were very me. I love circus stuff. I think they did so much in that 10 of making it not just feel like like a clown house, but instead making it feel like this is Horror Nights doing a circus type house. Get ready, and I loved it. I love that the fact that not only was it a great house on its own with great scares and effects and sets, but that it also was my first Icon house, just sole Icon house, and that they did it so well. So I have to. I like Legends a lot, but I have to pick Oddfellow.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, I agree, Jonathan. I like Legends, but it's not close. It's Oddfellow for me. Legends is not even my favorite of Monsters House of these 2 years.
All right. Does anyone feel like they could be changed in their ways?
I didn't go yet.
Oh, you didn't?
Did you
No.
just assume?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he assumed.
Wow.
Am I right?
Okay, so here's the thing. I was like, I could have been swayed, but something Jonathan said in favor of Oddfellow actually made me want to go against Oddfellow.
Oh,
Because he's also my first Icon house. But the farther away we get from it, I can't ignore that some of the rooms were just curtains, because that's what a circus tent is. And there were a lot more holes than I remember. And I just feel like I love Oddfellow, but I think I loved interactions with him more than the house overall. And I think that one room. So like you were like fighting, like you were saying your thing, and I was like, it was my first Icon house, but I'm not like, it didn't move me in the same way. But I think it's because I had my house that got me last year.
no, that makes a lot of sense.
And I wanted him to be. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Legends, but it's funny that like the thing that like swayed you so hard is like what made me go, oh, maybe I didn't love it as much as I thought. So thank you for that.
It is funny.
Well, I guess I assumed right. So
Yeah, you did. I'm sorry, but I wanted to at least state my
you're good.
piece.
You're good. That's my fault. So we do have another tie. I'm gonna assume no one's flipping on this one. No. So the coin will be flipping.
No.
Does anyone want to change whose heads, whose tails? Does that matter to anyone?
No, it doesn't matter.
All right. Legends Collides heads, Oddfellow tails. It is tails. Oddfellow advances.
I'll take it.
There we go.
Here we go.
And our first finalist.
There's balance in the universe.
Yeah, I guess so. Oddfellow Twisted Origins. Moving on to the finals. Will it be Darkest Steel as a first seed joining them? Or Blood Moon as a third seed? It's my literal rankings last year.
Yeah.
You know, we made them a couple months ago where Darkest Steel 1, Blood Moon 2. So, yeah. That's all you need to know.
Those were also mine.
Yeah, Darkest Steel was higher than Blood Moon for me, so it's Darkest Steel.
Yeah, not even a competition for me. Darkest Steel as well.
If anyone is going to pick Blood Moon, it would be Duff and I too. And the funny thing is, we're not.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's kind of cooked there.
It kind of sucks to be Blood Moon, and it was both of our number two. So it's not that we don't love it.
Well,
It's just coming down to our.
It's pretty unfortunate.
Our number one houses.
Because I think it's about to be split. Because it is the first seeded Darkest Steel versus the second seeded Oddfellow.
Yeah.
And we had this discussion again on the podcast a couple months ago. And we're about to be split. So let's make it official. Darkest Steel for me.
Yep.
I mean, it's closer to. This is the closest one that I think I could see myself swayed on.
Oh.
Like, I have to say that, like these are my 1 and 2, and while my 1, I really liked my 1. If someone really wanted to try to twist my arm, I wouldn't necessarily say, it's like impossible that I could be swayed, but that's why I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to see how it falls.
Well,
I'm gonna.
Jonathan, make it fall.
Oh, okay. So I'm going Oddfellow. I did love both of these houses. Like we said, there's a reason they both made it this far. They're both great houses. But to me, I love the vibe of Oddfellow a lot more. I think I don't know, like it just I love the sets. I love the music, the scenery, the scares. I think it all worked for me on a. I don't know if this will help sway you, Mike. I don't think it will, but I think it worked for me on a personal level. Because I love this style of I love carnivals, I love clowns, I love stuff like that. One of my favorite houses ever is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I'm into this stuff. And the fact that they did it right and also made it scary while tying it into not only past lore but making new, lore for it as well. And tying it to an icon that also tied to the entire event. I mean, it's going to win for me. I love Darkest Steel a lot. I think Darkest Steel, what it excelled at was story and scares. But the vibe overall for Oddfellow is gonna push it to the top for me on a very personal level.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, if I may try to sway you quick before you have to vote, on a not personal level and something that we all saw, just one comment: storytelling.
They both had great storytelling, though.
How much story did Oddfellow actually have told?
Yeah. My issue with
Compared to
Oddfellow,
Darkest Steel.
to back up the story thing, is that we got this really deeply rooted story with the Zodiac and everything. And then slowly throughout the run, those Zodiac kind of characters were pulled from the house. Or I saw less and less of them. So for me, the Oddfellow story started getting stripped away as casting and staffing started to have problems. And I didn't see that in Darkest Steel as much.
I think the thing that would sway me, and I think they were both pretty well liked, but I would say, like, this is not necessarily my opinion. It would be maybe like a consensus pick for like what the fan favorite of the year was. But I think they were both pretty well liked. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go to Oddfellow. It's gonna have to come down to a coin flip.
There we go.
Ooh.
I don't see. My thing is, in the
Close.
final rankings, if we were to give everything like scores, Darkest Steel scored higher because I had Oddfellow much lower than you guys had Darkest Steel and Oddfellow together. So I'm just saying, out of fairness, like I feel like the sway. I'm just saying, like, Duff, where did you have Oddfellow in the final?
That is fair, but that would ruin the point of the bracket too.
No. I'm just saying, like, if we were taking that in consideration, Oddfellow did not score anywhere near Darkest Steel.
Hey, listen, I'm confident in the coin flip because we've got 2 tails in a row. A heads is coming, and Darkest Steel has heads because it's the higher seed. So I'm confident. Don't let me down, Google Coin. All right. It's flipping. Heads, let's go.
There we go. Darkest.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
There's no world that Oddfellow beats Darkest.
Well deserved, Darkest Steel. Oddfellow's a good runner-up. I mean, both of our finalists were from 32. 3 of our 4 semifinalists for 32, so I think 32 wins this competition.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not the recency bias.
This terrible way to have them compete, but whatever.
Yeah.
It ended the way it did, and that's 32.
Can we do we need to go back and do this with like years that weren't close.
Oh.
I want to do this like, or let's do like a stacked. Let's do like 28 or 29 versus like, I don't know.
Like
30,
29 versus 31 or something.
Yeah, like there's so many different layouts. We can even do this with years we didn't go, just based off like, we could do scare zones too. Like, there's so many different things we can do with this.
We got new filler content, baby.
Hey,
Yeah.
if you guys have any like matchups, like interesting matchups you can think of, just shoot us a DM, send us a little comment. You know where to find us.
Voicemails.
Yeah.
If you want to
Oh,
talk
voice.
about anything
Yeah.
we just chose
Yes.
over your favorite, let us know that we were terribly wrong. If you want to literally bring a head-to-head matchup to us in a voicemail, that'd be fucking fun.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and that voicemail is 407-906-4134. You can also let us know on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at HHN365 or on TikTok at HHN365 pod. Or you can let us know at Discord, and that link is in the description. And we have a merch shop, which would be difficult to let us know at.
Don't let us know that. Well, that means you bought something probably. So.
Yeah, let us
Yeah, go
know
ahead,
by
do it.
buying
Yeah.
something. At HHN365.com. And we're interested to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you in the streets.